Let me just say the first and best decision I made when I was a nominee in 2020 was selecting Kamala Harris as vice president.
Goldman Sachs says my plan would grow our economy and his plan would shrink it.
Your own economic team, of course, has made news of late suggesting that the bigger boost to growth would come from the Harris economic plan, at least over the first couple of years. She mentioned it last night. You feel the same?
That report, which was mentioned last night in the debate, came from an independent analyst. And it's interesting, Scott. I think a lot more has been made of this than should be. What the report did is it looked at a handful of policy issues that have been put out by both sides, and it tried to model their impact on GDP growth. And the reason I say a bigger deal's been made of it is what it showed is the difference between the sets of policies that they put forward was about 0.2%. And by the way, we have no idea whether these policies, these things that are talked about will ultimately be implemented. What was the growth impact? And the differential was 0.2%. So, I think our clients are trying to look at what's going on from a policy perspective and make judgments. I think this blew up into something that's bigger than what it was intended.
Thank you, Grand Rapids. Making groceries and the things that we know we need, as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris fought to bring down inflation, to put our country on a path to recovery. This guy wants to add a national sales tax to all of us. And you tell me you had this on your bingo card, and they're eating cats, and they're eating cats. What would you say? Look, the way our country is, I'll go to my grave maybe not understanding it, but you know what? There'll be a time to think about that later. This is going to be a razor-thin election. We in Minnesota and Michigan across this country, we respect our neighbors for their personal choices. We might not make them. We might not make the same choice, but we respect them. That's for you to make, for me to make. In Minnesota, I've talked about this, and I think this is a national golden rule because I've talked about it. You know how society works best is when you mind your own damn business, things work better. We in Minnesota and Michigan across this country, we respect our neighbors for their personal choices. We might not make them. We might not make the same choice, but we respect them. That's for you to make, for me to make. In Minnesota, I've talked about this, and I think this is a national golden rule because I've talked about it. You know how society works best is when you mind your own damn business, things work better. They might not be sitting down at the bar talking about banning books, but they might down there be talking about, how can I afford a house? I'm working hard. I'm working hard. I want to have a house. There was one person on that stage who should be the next president of the United States.